felt really nervous as I walked down the hallway of my new school for wealthy students. I could feel people turning around to look at me and whispering, "Oh my god, I've never seen a goddess like her in my entire life. She looks like someone on the cover of a fashion magazine." Wait, someone thought I looked like a goddess? I was really getting the royal treatment on my first day. I had girls asking me to sit with them at lunch, and boys were dropping by to introduce themselves and bring me food. These people wouldn't look at me the same way if they ever found out about my parents. Just then, a nasty-looking girl walked over to my table and leaned on it, her face inches away from mine. "I don't know who you are or where you've dropped down from, but you better not cross me. I'm the campus queen, and I rule the school." Just then, one of the boys pushed her aside. "Shut up, girl. I've forgotten your name already. All hail the new campus queen!" When I got home that day, I quickly changed into my work clothes and rushed downstairs to meet my adoptive parents. "How's your new school?" "Oh, it's so cool and fun. Everybody really seems to like me and..." "Okay, that's great. Go to the kitchen quickly now and help the cook." I walked into the kitchen to find it in complete chaos, and the cook was relaxing on her feet up on a stool. "Why is the kitchen so dirty? And you haven't even started cooking."
"Don't take that tone with me, Missy. Just 'cause you're going to some fancy school, I need to rest my feet. Now chop chop!"
To everyone outside this mansion, I was the only daughter of two loving parents, but I was actually their maid's daughter. A couple of years ago, Mom remarried and just left me. The rich couple she worked for, Mr. and Mrs. Richard, decided to keep me, and I worked for them so I could go to a good school. Later that evening, as the cook and I were walking back home from the grocery store, someone suddenly bumped into me, and everything went flying everywhere.
"Gosh, Emily, are you blind?" "Sorry, sir. The child's an idiot."
The man just glared at me and walked away. As I picked up the stuff, I couldn't help thinking I had to do well at the school and get a college scholarship, so I never had to work under her again. The first week at school was going amazingly well. My popularity was on the rise, and honestly, it was all really new to me. I was doing well in my lessons, and all the teachers really seemed to like me too. That is, until the day our real science teacher, Mr. Howard, returned from sick leave. The minute he walked into the classroom, I recognized him as the guy I'd bumped into.
"Today, we'll be talking about something I detest. Viruses. I mean, you kids are annoying enough, but I hate it when you're sick and come to school with noses full of snot."
Wow, what an unpleasant guy.
Now, something a lot of people don't know is that the same virus that causes the flu can also infect computers. So if you don't want your computers to crash, stay away from them when you have the cold.
Wait, what? That was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard.
Yes?
I'm sorry, but that's not possible, sir. I've never given my laptop the flu. As a few kids started to laugh, he looked really mad.
Why? Have you never fallen sick? Are you Superman?
No.
If you're Superman, why don't you show everyone how you can fly around? Go ahead.
But I'm not Superman, and I can't fly.
Well, then shut up.
Just then, the principal walked into the classroom glaring at the teacher.
"Mr. Howard, you cannot talk to Emily like that. We're very happy to have such a smart girl here. She's definitely smarter than you. Emily, if anyone tries to bother you, you come and tell me, okay?"
Mr. Howard looked like he was having a fit. When the class ended, he called out to me to stay back.
Oh, no.
Reluctantly, I walked over to his desk, and what he said left me in complete shock.
"I wondered why you looked so familiar. You're the cook's little helper I bumped into. So what? You're here now pretending to be all smart and rich?"
"I'm not pretending. My parents are really wealthy people, and I am smart."
"Why were you dressed like a maid? Was that a disguise? Are you Superman?"
"Oh my god, not that again."
"If you're really rich, answer this. What are the names of all the Kardashians?"
"The what?"
"Huh! I knew it. Every wealthy person knows the answer to that. I knew you're just a maid, and I don't like dishonest people, so I don't like you. I'll be watching you."
And he wasn't kidding. From that day on, anywhere I went in school, there he was. It seemed like he was hoping to catch me sweeping floors or something. I realized soon, though, that keeping up the rich act wasn't all that simple. These girls just seemed like they lived on another planet.
"We're going to Paris for Christmas this year."
"That sounds amazing." "We're just having a party on Daddy's yacht." "Emily, what did you do last Christmas?" Washed 100 dishes and ate leftovers in my room with my hamster."
Oh, my parents invited Lady Gaga over for a private concert."
The girls screamed like hyenas and insisted that they wanted to hear every single detail. One day, they took me to the gym during cheerleading practice.
"Now that you're like the most popular girl in school, you've got to be in the cheerleading team, duh."
Not every popular girl has to be a cheerleader, right? I'm not into this kind of stuff. I like to read books. The girls looked at me like I was an alien from outer space. They pushed me to try out anyway, and I was really bad at it. But the coach just said, "She's so pretty. She can just stand on the side and wave pom-poms. Welcome to the team, Emily." And just like that, I was a cheerleader. As I was walking out, I spotted Mr. Howard in the doorway.
Well, well, being a cheerleader is every maid's dream, isn't it? Wait till everyone finds out about you.
The next day in class, Mr. Howard suddenly dropped a book on my desk, making me jump out of my skin.
Happy birthday, Emily!
How did he know? Thank you, sir?
So, I'm sure a rich, popular girl like you must be having a grand celebration, right?
Everyone's eyes were on us now, and he was looking down at me with a smirk.
Yes, of course! It's so big, I'm still planning it. But it will happen very, very soon.
As all the kids gave me excited smiles, I stared down at my quiz in horror. What had I landed myself into? With everyone asking me about the party, I had to come up with something fast. I had no choice but to go to Mr. and Mrs. Richard. "I'm really sorry, but I need to throw a big birthday party for my friends. I'll make up for it by doing extra chores." I thought they'd be really mad, but Mrs. Richard jumped up excitedly.
"Deal! Now let's throw you the biggest birthday bash this neighborhood has ever seen."
And boy, did she go all out! The theme of the party was teen models, and there was a fashion show runway, makeup stations, and pink outfits for everyone. I was just really excited about the party favors because Mrs. Richard had let me choose those. As the girls tore off the wrapping papers, they suddenly fell silent. "What's wrong?"
Ew, you gave us books?
"Yeah, and not just any books. These are limited editions, signed by J.K. Rowling herself." The girls looked really disappointed. But just then, Mrs. Richard came running in and pushed me aside.
"I know what teen girls want. Diamond bracelets! There, you get one, and you get one. Everyone gets one."
The books were rudely tossed aside, and I nearly went deaf from their high-pitched screams. The next day, everyone was still discussing how amazing my party had been. Just then, Mr. Howard walked in with our assignments and started distributing them. I was horrified to see the big, fat D on mine.
"And you get a D, and you get a D. Everyone gets a D."
"Mr. Howard, my assignment is just fine. And how can we all get Ds?"
"Are you the teacher now? How can your assignments be fine when all of you were busy partying last night?"
"Oh yeah, I saw the Instagram stories. But we submitted these last week."
"That's enough. I'll see you in detention now."
The bad grade and the detention wasn't even the worst part. Everyone in class was mad at me now. Like this is my fault.
Look, Em,
We can't be friends with you and fail science.
my parents will kill me, so we're sorry, but bye.
And they all walked off wearing their flashy diamond bracelets. Ugh, these rich girls were the worst. I couldn't let him bully me and ruin my grades, so I decided to talk to the principal. After he looked at my assignment, he called Mr. Howard into his office. I was looking forward to the principal telling him off, but I was not expecting what came next.
"Mr. Howard, you're fired."
What?
"You heard me. Now please pack your things and leave immediately."
Mr. Howard looked completely stunned, then got up and left quickly. I was horrified. I hadn't meant to get him fired.
"Don't worry, Emily. I'll have the substitute teacher fix everyone's grades."
Later, as I walked down the hallway, I saw Mr. Howard leaving with his belongings. He looked so sad. I'd gotten him fired, but I just felt terrible. I decided to go tell him that I talked to the principal about giving him his job back. Later that evening, I sneaked over to his house and pressed my nose against the window to see him having dinner with his mom and 5 rather scary-looking sisters. "So, Howie, why don't you tell your sisters your amazing news?" He just stared down at his plate silently. "He got fired, ladies. What have I done to deserve such a stupid son? Why couldn't you be a lawyer or a doctor or an astronaut like your sisters?"
Oh my God, Howard, it's a pretty easy job. Isn't it bad enough that you're just a teacher, and now you're not even that? Seriously, bro, you're never getting a girlfriend.
Loser! Oh,
By the way, Ma, I got a promotion at work today.
as they all clinked glasses, I saw Mr. Howard leave the table. I could not feel any worse right now, and I kinda understood why he was a bit of a bully. Just then, I heard a voice behind me.
What are you doing here? It wasn't bad enough to get me fired. Now you want to see my humiliation at home?
And before I could even say anything, he sat down on the bench and started to cry. "Mr. Howard, I'm really sorry. I never meant to get you fired. I came to tell you that I'll talk to the principal."
Oh, what's the point? I'm just a dumb teacher. Even you think I'm dumb.
"No, I don't, and your family is wrong. Being a teacher is just as amazing as any other profession. You can make such a difference in so many lives." He gave me a smile.
"You really are quite smart, aren't you? I'm sorry I picked on you for being a maid. You are a maid, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, who cares? You're really going to go places one day, Emily.
Oh, also, can I have one of the signed Harry Potter books? Thankfully, the principal listened to me and decided to reinstate Mr. Howard. Since then, he's become much nicer to everyone, and he's hired me as his personal assistant to do the fact-checking for him. We've become really good friends, and I finally have someone to discuss books with.
I felt someone bump against the bed, and my eyes instantly flew open. It was my stupid brother Liam looking down at me. I spit at his face. "What are you doing here, creep? Go away." "I'm not here for you, idiot." He looked over at the lump of blankets next to me with big, adoring eyes. "Is the sleeping beauty awake yet?" "No, what do you want from her anyway?" He whipped out a red rose from behind his back. "I want to marry her, of course." "Ew, you're 9. Get out of here." And the flying shoe I hurled at him sent him running off, for now at least. Man, he was obsessed with her. Just as I was about to doze off again, Mom barged in. "Is my little Lily awake? I made her favorite breakfast. Come on, sweetheart, wake up." No, she wasn't talking to me. She was gently shaking awake the girl lying in bed next to me, my best friend Lily. "Hi, I'm Clara, and ever since my wealthy best friend had a fight with her parents and moved in with me, my crazy family is just all over her, and everyone acts like I'm the stranger. But before I continue, click like and subscribe." At the breakfast table, Mom kept piling pancakes on Lily's plate and kept slapping my hand away every time I reached out for one. "You can have them once Lily is done. Why don't you eat cereal instead?" Just then, Dad walked into the room looking red in the face with grease all over his shirt. He glared at Mom. "I should never have bought the car from your slimy brother. He sold me a piece of junk. Now it won't start again and I'm so late for work." Before Mom could start yelling at him, Lily quickly said, "Why don't you just take my car and I'll tell my butler to send me a new one today? It's no problem, really." Dad looked ecstatic and rushed forward with his arms wide open. "Oh, Lily, you're an angel sent to me straight from heaven." But in his hurry to hug her, Dad tripped on something and fell smack into the middle of the table, ruining all the food. Mom rose from the chair furious. "Seriously? You're such a loser. I don't know why I ever refused that man, who's now a billionaire, for you. I deserve to be married to someone rich and have his rich children." Dad screamed back. "Oh yeah? Who's stopping you? Go marry him now." I rushed forward and came between the two of them to stop their fighting, but just then my brother pushed me aside roughly. "You almost stepped on Lily's precious toes." Oh God, this was a madhouse. I just left the kitchen to go get ready for school, where I could hang out with some normal people. A few seconds later, Lily followed me to my room, and she was in tears. "I don't feel well, Clara. I can't go to school." I hugged her and said I'd make her some hot chocolate before I left, but she clung to my sleeve looking a bit terrified. "Please don't leave me alone with your crazy family. You have to skip school too." Okay, I will. Why don't you get into bed?" I wondered why she wouldn't tell me what had happened between her and her parents. What could be so bad that she chose to stay in this house of psychos instead? Lily settled into bed and handed me her favorite children's book, You'll Always Be Ugly. That's what my nanny always read to me when I was sick. Will you read to me, please? Just then, we heard a tapping sound on the window. I got up to open it and instantly ducked. A pebble was flying straight towards my face. It missed me by an inch. I was about to shout at whoever was throwing stones at my window, but I suddenly stopped. It was Tom, the boy who lived next door. I had such a big crush on him. We'd started talking some time ago, but ever since Lily had landed at my place, I'd been so busy with all the drama I'd almost forgotten about him. "Hey, Clara, I just saw everyone leaving and thought maybe you'd want to hang out with me." Before I could reply, I heard a man's loud voice. "Tom, where did you go, you little rascal? You better get back here this minute." Tom looked terrified, and in no time at all, he'd scrambled up the wall like a cat and climbed in through my window. I looked at him in surprise. "I didn't know you had a father." "Oh yeah, he left his wife and moved back in with us again. My mom hates him, and they're just fighting all the time." Suddenly, his eyes fell on Lily, and he froze. Oh God, was he gobsmacked by her beauty? Would he start worshiping her like my family too? But to my relief, I saw that he actually looked disgusted. "What is she doing here?" "She moved in to live with us 2 weeks ago." "You know she's a terrible person, and I hate her." Lily jumped off the bed looking furious. "No one cares, you jerk." "Shut up, you cheater." I sighed. How had I forgotten the two of these went out for a while, and she kissed his best friend on his birthday? The two were just at each other's throats. How many times do I have to tell you I didn't mean to make out with him? It was an accident. "What does that even mean? Were you just pouting and fell on his lips?" Just then, Liam burst in with a cup of hot chocolate and glared at me. "Aren't you supposed to be at school?" "I could ask you the same question." He ignored me and turned to Tom. "Dude, some crazy man who says he's your father is going around the neighborhood like a mad bull and asking everyone where you are." Tom turned really pale. He dropped down on his knees and clasped his hands as he looked up at me. Clara, can I please move in with you? My dad is crazy and he'll kill me. Oh God, how could I say no? And secretly, I really wanted him to stay. Lily was screaming in protest, but I said I'd ask Mom. I called her and she said he could stay as long as he did the dishes and mowed the lawn every day. Tom happily agreed and hugged me tight. I closed my eyes for a second and sniffed him. Boy, he smelled good. Suddenly, I felt him pulling away from me and screaming, "Ow! Let go of my hair, you witch!" Lily was right behind him, pulling his hair as hard as she could. Before I knew it, he tackled her to the floor. I got elbowed hard in the stomach as Liam and I tried to pull the two apart. When we finally managed to untangle them, I screamed, "Enough! You guys better behave or I'm throwing you both out." In the evening, as we were sitting down for dinner, Mom beamed at Lily and Tom. "Why don't you beautiful kids come and sit by me, one on each side? You're like the daughter and son I never had." Liam and I glared at her across the table. Like, hello, are the children you gave birth to invisible now? Before I could say anything, the door flew open and Dad came walking in with the biggest smile on his face. He looked at Mom. "Hey, you look lovely today. Oh, by the way, I need a divorce. I met someone and we're meant to be together." We all stared at him with our mouths open. I could see Mom frothing at the mouth as she slowly rose from the table and her hand made its way across the plate. Before she could send a flying plate in Dad's direction, a woman skipped in behind him. "Everyone, meet the woman of my dreams." Poor Tom fell off his chair. Mom? What do you think you're doing?" "I'm sorry, honey, but your horrible father kicked me out and I bumped into this loser wandering around the neighborhood. He's the only option I have." My mom narrowed her eyes and said, "Fine, you can have him. But if you want to live under my roof, you'll be paying for yourself and your son." "Deal." Dad looked shocked. "What? I can't believe you'd make a helpless woman pay to live here. I won't allow it." "Who asked you? You can leave if you want. She can stay." "Yeah, and I'm not helpless, you jerk. I could kick your butt easily." Dad just looked at the two of them. "Fine, you women are crazy." And he stormed off to his room. An hour later, he walked out of the house with his bags. And just like that, my crush and his mom had moved in with us, and Mom had made our place a hotel. I could hardly believe all this madness. "Mom, we don't even have enough rooms." Liam shouted, "I can sleep between you and Lily. Look at me, I'm tiny." Mom said that Liam and Tom would be in Liam's room. Lily and Tom's mom would be in my room, and I'd have to take the couch in the lounge. "What? No way! Then I'm sleeping on your bed." I fought with her for 3 hours. In the end, I was so tired I just crashed on the couch. The next 2 days were just crazy. Everyone was getting on each other's nerves except my mom and Tom's mom. They were acting like they were best friends, sunbathing on the rooftop and painting each other's toenails. When I asked Mom what we'd be doing for dinner, she said, "You can cook, can't you? Now go get me and Auntie some smoothies." Thankfully, Lily was feeling better and was helping out with the cleaning. She picked up the garbage bag and dumped it at Tom's feet. "Stop watching TV and go throw out the garbage." He didn't even look away from the screen. "You're garbage. Can I throw you out?" And before I knew it, the two were wrestling on the ground again. Liam shouted, "No one messes with my fair lady," and jumped right in and bit Tom's leg. I just turned around, slammed the door shut, and went back to cutting the vegetables. Why Lily chose to stay here and not go back to her parents was beyond me. And it was weird that they didn't even check up on her. Thank God the weekend was over. I couldn't wait to get back to school. But then we got the worst news ever. We found out about the pandemic that had struck the world. All schools would remain closed indefinitely, and no one was allowed to leave their houses unless it was an emergency. God, this was like my worst nightmare right now. A few days went by, and we were running out of food. I said I'd wear a mask and go to the grocery store. But just as I was about to head out, Tom and his mom dragged me back in. Tom's mom shrieked, "It's too dangerous. You're not going anywhere." Tom said, "Yeah, babe, the grocery store's too risky. Maybe we can go look for wild berries or some plants." Where did he think we lived? In the woods? It was cute that he cared about me, but he was kind of dumb. Anyone got a better idea? Then Lily said that she'd make a few phone calls and see what she could do. A few hours later, a truck came outside our house and dumped tons of boxes of food. There was enough in here to feed an army. Tom and Liam grabbed a pizza box each and started wolfing it down like monsters. The rest of us settled down on the table when Tom's mom casually said, "I can't go to work because of the pandemic, obviously, so I won't be able to pay on time this month." Mom quickly snatched away the piece of chicken she was eating from her hands. "You what?" "Oh, come on. I thought we were friends." "Nuh-uh. You only stay if you pay." Lily quickly intervened. "Don't worry, I'll make the payments this month. Let's not ruin the meal." Mom was thrilled, and thankfully we were able to continue with dinner in peace. Weeks went by with us stuck at home, and all everyone did all day was sit in front of the TV and eat. I could feel my own clothes getting tighter on me, and Lily was just busy stuffing her face with chocolates all day. One afternoon, when I was in my room and Lily was taking a nap, someone slowly opened the door and said, "Psst." I looked around to see it was Tom. "I've been trying to catch you alone ever since I've moved in here. How about we go to the basement and spend some time together? I was only too happy to agree. We crept down the stairs giggling. Tom spread a mat on the cold floor. It was dark, and he took out a candle from his pocket and lit it up. Wow, how romantic. As we settled down on the mat, he looked at me and brushed a strand of hair away from my face. Just as he leaned in to kiss me, I saw something and let out a shrill scream. OMG, Clara, I think you just made me deaf. What's wrong? Tom, something is moving in that corner. The huge thing that was moving turned around, and when the light fell on his face, I saw it was Dad. Dad, you nearly gave us a heart attack. What are you doing here? He looked at me with sad eyes and said he had nowhere to go, so he'd been staying in the basement and sneaking into the kitchen for food when everyone was asleep. Clara, you go up and I'll give your dad company for a while. I'm sick of all those crazy women anyway. I said fine and left. And of course, I walked into someone screaming at someone. This time it was Tom's mom, and she was going ballistic because Liam had eaten her pizza slice. Mom cut in angrily. Hey, no one talks to my boy like that. He's a bad boy, just like his bad mother. Before I could jump in, Lily came forward to say something and threw up on Tom's mom instead. Mom was laughing hysterically while Tom's mom screamed in disgust. I walked over to Lily, who looked really sick. Lily, you really need to stop eating like that. I'm pregnant. What? So this is why she'd run away from home? There was a shocked silence in the room as we all stared at her. Suddenly, Liam burst into tears. I can't believe you betrayed me like this, my sweet, fair Lily. I told him to shut up as I hugged Lily, who had also started to cry. She said her parents had reached out to her and asked her to come back, but she knew they were ashamed of her for being pregnant, and it was bad for their reputation. Thankfully, both the crazy moms forgot their fighting and rushed over to hug her and said they'd take care of her. Mom moved Lily's things to her own room, and I moved back to mine. The next morning at breakfast, Tom sleepily came up from the basement. Man, I didn't sleep a wink last night. Your dad snores like a bear. Oh, Tom, you idiot! Mom's fork had already dropped onto her plate. That man is in my basement? Mom, let it go. He had nowhere to go in the pandemic. You make him leave this instant, otherwise I'll kick you all out. Before I could argue anymore with her, the front door burst open and Tom's dad walked in. He was crying like a little baby and he instantly fell down at Tom's mom's feet. I want my lovely wife back. I'll kiss your feet every day. I feel scared in that house at night. Dear wifey, hold me. Tom's mom played hard to get for like 5 minutes, but then she turned to Tom. Come on, let's go. I've had enough of this crazy family. As she walked out with her husband, Mom yelled back at her, You ungrateful witch. Tom kissed my forehead. Thanks for everything. I'll see you around, babe. Just then, Dad walked into the room. There's an army of bodyguards outside asking for Lily. They're here to take her home because her parents miss her too much. Lily burst into tears and said she was ready to go. As she was leaving, she turned to hug me tight and gave me a stack of money as a way to thank me. I was delighted. Suddenly, Mom snatched it out of my hands and gave it back to Lily. We don't want any money from you. You're just like a daughter to me. As she hugged Lily and we waved her goodbye, Mom pulled me in for a hug too. What happened to my mom, and can I have her back? Mom laughed. This pandemic has made me realize what's important. I love you, babe. Liam and Dad joined in for a group hug. As we broke apart, Mom glared at Dad. We will talk later.